Hey everybody, welcome to What a Week, another episode here. Chris McKinnon with John Keller.
You should have seen Chris just now before we went on, doing his Ron Burgundy imitation. Yeah.
Busy week, John.
Stay classy, Boston.
Yes, please do.
Sorry.
Please,
Go ahead.
Please
Busy
do
week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Busy week.
Yes.
Municipal elections, we're coming off of those this week, and it looks like City of Boston's going to have its most diverse city council ever. So thoughts on this? Because there's a potential recount going to happen for the fourth at-large.
Right, but that won't change the fact that there'll be a majority of women
Yep.
on the council for the first time, and a majority of non-white members on the council. And certainly that reflects the fact that for some years now, Boston has been a majority non-white city. And finally, voters of color in the various communities around the city are learning the ropes and grasping the ropes of electoral politics, organizing. There's a whole generation of street organizers and activists who have become very accomplished through working on other campaigns. And the result is a city council that looks more like this amazing diverse city. We went out the other day and asked a question about beyond the positive nature of having a governmental body that resembles the people of the city. What does it really mean beyond that? And the answer is sort of a question mark, because we interviewed Michael Flaherty from South Boston, a white Irish Catholic counselor, a veteran counselor who was easily reelected to another term. And he sounds, if you close your eyes, it's hard to distinguish his rhetoric from that of the women or the people of color who are serving on the council with him. So while there may be racial and gender and ethnic diversity on the council, ideological diversity, perhaps not so much. Progressivism has really taken root in this city. Look at Marty Walsh, she's hardly a conservative. And so it'll be interesting to see what all this diversity means beyond the surface and the very positive development of, really representing the way the city looks.
The community, let's talk about Liz Warren and her presidency here, and she's, rolled out
presidential campaign.
What did I say?
You said presidency. Let's not get ahead of it.
My apologies.
No, that's all right.
I know we can't edit this out.
Verbal slip, that's all right.
Verbal slip for sure. So her idea of this, health care for all and whatnot, and she rolled out a price tag and how she's going to pay for it. And she's now getting a lot of attacks about it. I mean, Pete Buttigieg has been going after her pretty hard.
Joe Biden posted a statement on Medium arguing that this was elitist and it was dishonest, and so she's taking a lot of heat from all sides, and not to mention what the Republicans are saying about it. This fulfills every right-wing fantasy about whether the Democrats want to tax you back to oblivion, they want to force you into government-sponsored health care. And so, after a late summer and fall in which Liz Warren was sort of the hottest thing going in the Democratic primary, in the last couple of weeks, primarily because of the heat she's been taking in the last debate and subsequently over her Medicare for All and support, her numbers have stalled. The growth has stalled. In some cases, she's dipped a little bit. And it's a problem. It's a problem. And I think really the mistake that's been made here, and she's not the only one making it in the Democratic primary, is to believe that America's looking for, as Warren likes to put it, big, sweeping structural change. Now, there may be many Americans who are looking for that. But it seems to me, from what I observe, that the most popular potential change that people are talking about across the country is a change in the occupant of the White House. It's certainly among Democrats and anti-Trump independents. And not really much more beyond that. And to the extent that the Democratic primary is going to be decided largely on the basis of who can beat Trump, then Liz Warren has really stepped in something bad here, because I think a lot of people are concluding and may subsequently conclude that her approach to this is off-key in that way. It's not strategically wise. It may be authentic. And I don't think anyone doubts that she really believes this is of paramount importance and the way to go, and it's intelligently laid out. She's giving us details. The politics of it, I think, are a lot trickier, Chris.
I mean, even though we're talking about, Republicans, Democrats, independents, when you're going for the presidency and trying to win, you need to build a broader coalition than just your far left base, right?
There's an old saying in politics, run the race you're in, not some other race. Okay, she's running the race she's in, a Democratic primary race that, in the early going at least, is all about appealing to left-leaning voters and activists. I get that. But this is a weird year. I think you can't just run the race you're in. You have to be running two races at once, and that's proving to be difficult, not just for her, but for the moment, definitely for her.
Okay. Let's also talk about the impeachment inquiry. Big announcement from Adam Schiff this week that we're going to start seeing public testimony starting next Wednesday. So we know a lot of the testimony behind closed doors as it's starting to roll out, the transcripts and whatnot of it. But to actually see these witnesses publicly testify and we, the public, can actually watch it, what do you think this is going to do moving forward with this whole process?
Well, based on the public reaction we've seen just to the closed door portion of this whole inquiry, it's understandable that Republicans are in a panic about it. They expected there to be just a nasty public backlash against this whole thing, and all their rhetoric has been, it's a sham, it's a Soviet-style this, blah, 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 it's a coup attempt. It's not working, according to all the polling I'm seeing. And now that it's going to be on TV, it's not like back in the 70s when the Watergate hearings were on. They were aired by all the networks, not wall to wall. And people during the day, activity would grind to a halt so people could watch it. I don't expect that to happen this time around. But there's something about this story and the allegations here that appears to have caught the imagination of a large part of the public that didn't seem that compelled by the Mueller-Russia probe, which largely was not played out in public. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks as the televised hearings start. And don't forget, it was in one of these televised hearings, back in the Watergate hearings, that we abruptly, out of the blue, discovered that key conversations in the Oval Office had been tape recorded. And it was the ultimate release of those tapes that led to President Nixon's resignation. So these kind of hearings in front of the cameras can sometimes unearth information that perhaps they couldn't even unearth in these closed-door interrogations.
It'll be very interesting to watch, and very interesting to see how Republicans start responding to this, because right now they're in lockstep saying, no, 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 we're not even paying attention to
Well, the response of the week for my book was Lindsey Graham's comments that he's not even going to look at the transcripts of these interviews because he says, quote, it's a bunch of BS. Well, he potentially is going to be a juror in this trial. All the senators will ultimately, if he's impeached in the House, there's a trial in the Senate with the senators acting as jurors. What kind of juror says in advance they're not going to look at the evidence? It would seem to me that that juror would be removed, but in this case, that's not possible.
Right, because it is just a political trial. It's not a criminal trial.
It totally. Better buckle your seatbelt, Chris.
All right, it's going to be a show for sure.
It is.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your insight.
Have a great weekend.
Yes, you too. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time on What a Week.